the test server. This is about water and purely water DPS. No healing in this video. If you're interested in the healing side, there will be another video soon that will show then the healing side in action. So before I'm starting, I will quickly explain what I'm doing here so you can actually follow up. This loadout has been given by a guy from Test called Waterbender. I don't know his live server name, but in the run before I started to DPS, I was healing and he was DPSing there and did pretty well with it. So I thought, why not taking it as an example? Because it's pretty neat. And yeah, that's it. I'm not saying this is the best or something. Yeah, so it's just people still figuring things out. Anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm pressing button 3, which is drown. That is your PI applicator. Then I clip it with high tide, which is button 2. And then I clip it with Riptide, which is button 1. High tide is that ability that grants extra damage or heals depending, or extra effect for some abilities that offer these in their description. And Riptide resets the previous used power. In this case, Riptide will reset High Tide again. So I can use it right after, because High Tide itself has a 30-second cooldown. But more in a bit. However, when I press those three, High Tide and Riptide are passive powers, so they can clip each other away and they can clip that ground ability. I use button 5 on that you can see there, the button numbers. Button 5 is called Aqua Lance. That is a AoE that on the target and every target around does a burst tick, and with active High Tide, which it should have here all the time, it also adds a dot on top of it, so it's pretty neat. And since High Tide will be then ready again from the reset with Riptide before, I straight clip with High Tide Aqualance. Yeah, not at the start, I was pretty slow at the start, trying to get used to it. But after I've done this, I press then button 6, which is the Shark Frenzy. You don't see the shark here because it's currently, the animation is a bit buggy, but the damage is there. And that thing then with High Tide effect will always crit, and that is pretty neat. If you see that here in the moment I use it, watch what I'm doing here, see. So there comes the shark and you see all those crits floating around. It's pretty neat. Anyway, after I'm done with it, I'm going for button 4, which is Tsunami Strike. So I'm pretty much spamming the range combo power, which allows me to reduce the cooldown every time I hit something by 4 seconds. From High Tide, I said it has 30 seconds, but with that it goes fairly quickly down to, like, I would say 6-7 seconds, depending if there is a target or not. So it will be it will be ready to be used again with Drown and Riptide then by the time it's ready. And then you can repeat everything I said. So that's basically the combo. You press 3, 2, 1. Then 5, clip with 2 again, then 6, and then spam 4 away until 1, 2, 3 is ready, and then repeat 3, 2, 1, and so on. So this is basically what I'm trying to execute here. It didn't work all the time because, you know, I had to get used to it first. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about DPS in general. DPS in general with water is a mixture out of kind of everything. It's fairly bursty in comparison to like nature or sorcery. It has similarities, I would say, to some, I don't know. It feels sometimes a bit like atomic, or like these atomic range types. Yeah, on the combos, it's similar what Tsunami Strike does too. But it's not full combo. You see, I have only one combo power. There's another one that's the melee version of it, but I don't like the melee version. It costs less power, it does because of that less damage. That's more like for solos and duos. Because you see, what you see here is we have one troll, but I make this guy starving. I'm sitting around with no power often. It's not the troll's fault here. It's really just because I can spam through this loadout fairly quick. And everything costs a lot of power here, so yeah. Damage. There's also an interesting concept with shield. The normal healer 4-man shield is also gives a shield to yourself in DPS stance, but instead of giving it extra shields to 3 other people, it gives you some kind of extra damage or proc options that can happen. So it increases your damage. So if you like to go melee, that shield might be actually really interesting to use. I don't know. That's something has to be tried out. I can't really judge there. I'm just giving you then some ideas they had in mind here. Yeah, that is basically that. I said combos is pretty limited. Damage is it feels all a bit like a mix out of different things. And it doesn't feel OP. It doesn't feel like super crazy OP. So it looks great. It has great burst potential with those what I'm executing there. At least in that version. I don't know if someone else has other ideas. And that makes it pretty good for solo stuff. I like that. And that's kind of already about it. It has a couple of crowd control implementations where I think the PI already has it, then 1-2 other normal powers that profit from the PI, which is crushed. Oh yeah, and something that has to be said is High Tide is some kind of other PI, but it's different. Crushed and all the other power interactions, they stay when you use a power that profits from it, power interaction. But High Tide, all the powers that profit from High Tide consume this High Tide from you, deal that extra damage, and it's gone, and you need to basically wait for until High Tide is ready. This is why you have this cooldown reduction system. Yeah, and that works pretty well. It's balanced, it doesn't feel super broken or something. I don't even think it's the best DPS, because I do believe Rage is still better from what I have personally tried on the sparing targets just to see how they perform DPS wise. I got better results with Rage and still with Earth 2, but yeah, I hope they adjust that thing. So that's a whole different story and potentially nature, but I don't care about that part. So I think it's in a good spot already. This time it's not super broken, but it's also not heavily underperforming. So I think they got it right, pretty right here. And who would like to play water from a DPS perspective? I think people who like also comboing but don't want to end up comboing all the time, or generally if you like those visuals. Some visuals are pretty great, some are a bit bland. The Tempest Strike, there is not much to see. You do some Chi martial arts thing there, it lacks visual on that part. But then you see all the other visuals here going on from the other people, or even from the healer. They had a huge big circle there in the back. Yeah, that healer circle. That looks all great. So yeah, that's that. And I think that is kind of everything I can tell you about it. If you have questions about DPS side, just ask them. I can also just repeat the two mechanics they added. The two kind of mechanics that you can use as healer and as DPS. I use them here already. Yeah, the High Tide Riptide system. High Tide for the extra bonus damage, and that you can reduce its cooldown, which is pretty high with 30 seconds. So a cooldown reduction is really required to make it useful. And Riptide, which has some neat concepts in the healer stance. You will see that in the other video, because it keeps it has a 12 seconds cooldown. Yeah, Riptide has a 12 seconds cooldown. High Tide 30 seconds. So yeah, I mean, so you get all the idea about it. Superchargers, I wouldn't say any of the 2 DPS superchargers are super crazy interesting. They are normal like any other supercharge. Has nothing where I would feel like I'm missing out on having them, because you see my bar is pretty full. I mean, I could ditch the shark, or I could ditch the shark. It does a bit less damage than the Aqualance, and Aqualance has a 6-second cooldown, so at the same cost, so it does actually higher base damage by default. And then I could take in a supercharge. I don't know, maybe even the cooldown reduction supercharge, because that thing gives also power back. And you see, I could need power all the time. I'm just sometimes doing mechanics here, like interacting with the cogs and stuff. Even on the first place, I started to interact with the cogs because I had no power left. And that's still not the troller's fault. It is really because it sucks a lot of power away. So yeah, that is water DPS in action. Yeah, you see the visuals. If you have questions, as I said earlier, just put them up in the comments. And if you were part of the raid, thanks for making this video happen. And thanks for watching. And see you around for the water video. It's fairly soon. I'm working on it. Bye bye.